Welcome back to another episode of A 12th Man with me, Danny Volkert. On this episode, I'm sure you've already guessed, we are talking about Liverpool today. So 1 week ago today, they were crowned champions of England for the first time in 30 years. As well as talking about Liverpool, we'll also be picking our top 5 title-winning teams since the Premier League began. So stay tuned to see who we reveal as the best Premier League side of all time. So firstly, let's take a look at this Liverpool team. Without a doubt, the key to this Liverpool success story is Jurgen Klopp. Now, that's not to say that others haven't played a part, but the mastermind, the quarterback, if you will, is Jurgen Klopp. When he came into Liverpool in October 2015, he took control of a Liverpool team that was 10th in the Premier League. It just come off the back of a devastating season under Brendan Rodgers, where it became so close to winning the league. As I'm sure you're all aware, that Gerrard slip and the 3-0, letting the 3-0 lead slip against Crystal Palace meant that Man City went on to win the Premier League. But when he came in, it was following a break from what he'd done in the Bundesliga. He'd taken Borussia Dortmund to back-to-back Bundesliga titles. He took them to a Champions League final, and that was in a time where Bayern Munich were really dominating the German league. So what I want to do firstly is I want to take a look at the starting lineup. I want to compare what he's actually done in regards to changing of personnel. So in Jurgen Klopp's first game for Liverpool, his starting lineup consisted of Simon Mignolet, Nathaniel Klein, Sacco, Skrtel, Moreno. Obviously not a great back four. He had Lucas and Emre Can playing as holding midfielders with Milner, Coutinho, Lallana and Divock Origi. So it was hardly a top four side that he took over. Never mind a title challenging side. So Jurgen had quite a big task on his hands taking over this Liverpool team. But I want to take a look at the key things that Jurgen Klopp changed to make Liverpool into what they are today, and that's Premier League champions. I think before we go any further, it's of huge importance that we give credit where credit is due, and that credit goes to the technical director at Liverpool, Michael Edwards. So from 2016, he was appointed as the technical director at Liverpool. So his first task was the responsibility of identifying talent to enable the club to go forward. And I'd say 90% of the time, he got this right. You just have to take a look at the signings of Mane, Wijnaldum, Salah, Robertson, Van Dijk, Chamberlain, Fabinho, Alisson. I mean, the list goes on. It's quite remarkable, really. The signings that have been made have been a revelation, and I think Edwards deserves to take a lot of the credit for that. But it's not only the transfers in where Edwards has excelled. If you take a look at the transfers out of the club since 2016, we sold Jordan Ibe to Bournemouth for 15 million. He had 1 goal in 41 games. We sold Benteke for 27 million. He had 3 goals in 27 games. Dominic Solanke, we brought him in on a free transfer and they sold him for 19 million. His record, 1 goal in 27. So they were getting quite a lot of money for these players that weren't really doing it at Liverpool. He had a combined total of 53.5 million for Sacco, Joe Allen and Danny Ward. And like I say, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that, and especially getting rid of these players that weren't going to be part of the Liverpool future going forward. I mean, the last 3 there, Sacco was missing training. He was demoted to the reserves. He didn't want to play for Liverpool. Joe Allen, I liked Joe Allen personally. I thought he was a good player. He was good at keeping possession of the ball. And Danny Ward, I mean, he made 3 appearances for Liverpool. He never even played, and we got like 12.5 million for Danny Ward from Leicester. Michael Edwards deserves that mention. He deserves credit for the transfers that have been taking place at Liverpool over the last 4 or 5 years. But let's get back to Jurgen Klopp. So one of the things Jurgen Klopp is famed for is his relationship with the fans. He had that connection at Mainz, he had it at Dortmund, and obviously now he's got it at Liverpool. So one of the key points Do you remember when Liverpool drew 2-2 at West Brom? And after that game, everybody at Liverpool, the fans, the players, the manager, Liverpool as a club took a lot of stick for the way the players and Jurgen Klopp celebrated. People were saying, "Oh, look how far Liverpool have fallen." We're celebrating a draw against West Brom, and it went. It wasn't that we were celebrating the draw. It went deeper than that. It was a show of solidarity at Liverpool Football Club. It was Liverpool Football Club telling the fans, if you're here for us, then we're here for you. I remember in the previous match, I know Liverpool had been beaten by Crystal Palace 2-1, and the fans, they were leaving the stadium after 82 minutes. Well, the difference with the West Brom game is the fans stayed for the full game. There were nobody leaving early, and Divock Origi went on to score a 95th minute equaliser. And like I say, we weren't really celebrating the fact that we gained a point from West Brom or dropped 2 points. They were creating that bond between the club and the fans. And in a way, they were becoming future Premier League champions. I didn't see this back then. At the time of when Liverpool was celebrating this, I also looked at it that we shouldn't really be celebrating a 2-2 draw. I think that's how everybody saw it. But Jurgen Klopp knew what he was doing. He was creating that bond between the club and the fans. Do you know what I mean? He was getting the foundations in place to enable Liverpool to be who they are today. Like I say, I didn't see this back then, and it only took winning the Premier League to really look back at all these instrumental moments and realise that he was doing what he was said. Jurgen Klopp was doing what he said he would do, which was turning us from doubters into believers. And I think I speak for every Liverpool fan when I say, in Klopp we trust. We don't question what he does anymore. We just believe that Klopp has a plan and that the plan is going to go perfectly. What I like about Jurgen Klopp, he came in with this heavy metal mindset that this is how we're going to play football. He described it as heavy metal, but throughout the course of him being at Liverpool, he's changed the way his teams play. So when he first came in, we played an all-out attack, and look, 70-80% of the time it would work. But I remember there were issues with the fullbacks, with Moreno and Klein, and they were both going forward at the same time. They were leaving the defence exposed. And Jurgen Klopp switched things. He switched it sort of temporarily, where only one fullback would go forward and the other fullback would sit. And he solidified the team. He made them more organised by doing that. And then when he found defensive cover, when he found Fabinho, obviously at this time Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson were playing as the wing-backs. But that signing of Fabinho allowed them both to go forward and become the players that they are today. In Klopp's first 2 seasons, he spent those seasons building an attack which was capable of unlocking any defence. He built this, but Liverpool was still conceding way too many goals at the back. Then he brought in the signings of Virgil van Dijk and Alisson, and what a pair of signings. I don't know if there's been any signings who have been more instrumental to a football team than these two. Because he brought these two in, they became more compact and defensively solid. It allowed them to take the emphasis off the high pressing sort of tactics that they had been using, and they began to attack in phases then. What I mean by this is, like I say, up until sort of 2017, 2018, it felt like Liverpool had to outscore the opponent to win. And I know that sounds obvious, but if the opponent had the ball, Liverpool were vulnerable. So there was that higher emphasis on winning the ball back earlier, taking the ball from the opponents to ensure we gave our defence the best chance not to concede goals. Nowadays, Liverpool press in phases now, knowing that even when they've not got the ball, they have the defensive capabilities to ensure that they're not going to concede. Do you know what I mean? They've conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League so far. And they used to concede silly goals. Now it's more of a more relaxed approach, and it's worked. From 2018, 2019, Liverpool got 97 points. They finished second. Now that point total would have won the Premier League title in all but two of the Premier League campaigns. This year, Liverpool so far, they've won 28 out of 31 league games. They've absolutely blown every other team out of the water this season. And I had my doubts. There were doubts as to whether Liverpool could emulate the 18-19 season. But they've not only emulated it, they currently sit 23 points of Man City. And it's been remarkable. And as long as Jurgen Klopp stays at Liverpool, I think we may need to brace ourselves for a period of dominance, especially when Guardiola leaves City. I think Guardiola and Klopp are the two best managers in the world. But if Guardiola leaves City, then there isn't anyone else managing in the Premier League that's on the same level as Jurgen Klopp. Klopp and Guardiola are light years ahead of any managers out there. And at the minute, Jurgen Klopp, he is an absolute hero at Anfield. Everyone loves him. Even the rival fans, you just cannot hate this man. Now he's got a contract signed until 2024. Whether he'll still be there then, it's anyone's guess. But I do believe he will leave Anfield a hero. He will have a statue built outside, and his name will go alongside Paisley and Shankly and Fagan. He told us that we would be believers, and I don't think any Liverpool fan at this moment in time does not believe. He could go out and spend 50 million on David Luiz and he would turn him into a superstar. That's how much we believe in this man. So let's move on now. So we're going to rank the top 5 title winning teams in order. And despite my clear affiliation with Liverpool, they are not the number 1 team. So I've tried to stay neutral when picking these. It was hard for me not to put this Liverpool team at number 1, especially having waited 30 years for a title. But I've gone into this with a clear head, and like I say, Liverpool are not number 1. So let's start off with the 5th place team. And the 5th best team to win the league is Manchester United from the 2007-2008 season. Obviously, all the sides in this ranking are top sides. And this side, they were a brilliant team. They excelled in attack. They had a front trio of Rooney, Ronaldo and Tevez. And they contributed 57 goals out of the 80 goals that they scored that season. They had a solid defence in Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra. They were sitting in front of an ageing Van der Sar. And it's easy to see why they make the top 5. The front 3 this year, they scored more goals than 14 of the remaining 19 teams in the league. Yes, this points to a possible lack of competitiveness in the league, and they were in a title challenge to the end of the season. It was neck and neck to the end of the season, but that was down to a slow start that United had endured. In this season, there was, and this is the reason they're at number 5, in this season there was a real lack of quality, which saw Aston Villa finishing 6th, Blackburn Rovers finishing 7th, Portsmouth finishing 8th, Tottenham finished down in 11th. And like I say, it's for that reason that this team have been placed at 5th place for me. So moving on to 4th place, we have this current Liverpool squad. Now, we've already spoke a lot about the team, and again, the competition has been a little lacklustre this year, hence them only being 4th on this list. They have a solid foundation with Van Dijk and Alisson, and the workman-like midfield of Wijnaldum and Henderson is really what allowed the front 3 to excel. I think if we were looking at which squad has worked together the best as a team, then it would be this one. Like I said earlier, they've won 28 out of 31 games. That's a phenomenal record so far. This is still going at the minute. They've won the league earlier than any other team has in history. But what's more impressive for me is the fact that they bounced back from finishing 2nd in the previous season. In that campaign where they got pipped by Man City, and like I said earlier, they would have won all but 2 titles in the Premier League. They've bounced back from that, and I didn't see it happening. I don't think any Liverpool fans saw it happening. I think they all thought, oh, here we go again. It's one of those seasons. We have a great season. We don't win the league. When's it going to happen? But we've bounced back from that. And that's for me, is the reason this team are in fourth place. So we're going to move on to the third place, greatest team of all time in the Premier League. And it is that same Man City side that did beat Liverpool to the title in the 2018-2019 season. So, like I say, Guardiola is one of the greatest managers currently in the game at the minute. This Man City team were on another planet. They took a couple of years to produce, but my God, could they play football. With the likes of Ederson, Company, Kyle Walker at the back, with the cover of Fernandinho in the City midfield. Despite playing so offensively, they only conceded 23 goals last season. They pipped Liverpool by 1 point. And it's remarkable, considering Liverpool's record last season. They won 30 and drawn 7 out of 38 games. And Man City still beat them. Man City won 32 out of 38. And it's phenomenal when you look at the attacking talent on shore. They have the likes of Aguero, Sterling, De Bruyne, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Leroy Sané was brilliant last year. It's just ridiculous how good this team was. I mean, how good this team still is. Despite being so far behind Liverpool this season, the foundations have been built to dominate for years. I truly believe that if Pep stays, he can emulate what Sir Alex Ferguson did at United. If Klopp and Guardiola both stay, then we are in for some phenomenal football over the next couple of years in the Premier League. But let's get back to the list now, and we're looking at our second placed team, and this one might be a little bit controversial, but I've gone with the Arsenal invincible season of 2003-2004. So this is obviously the famous Arsenal squad that went through the whole season unbeaten, a fate that no one else has managed to this date. This squad featured the likes of Ashley Cole, Sol Campbell, Robert Perez, Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp. It's ridiculous how much talent was on shore. It was despite having all that talent, it was such a well-balanced squad, and it was led by, obviously, the innovative Arsene Wenger. I mean, this team was scary. Yes, they only won 26 and drawn 12 of the 38 games, but what was scary about them, they knew how they were phenomenal at both ends of the pitch. They conceded just 26 goals all season. And obviously at the other end of the pitch, they had the 2003 Ballon d'Or runner-up in Thierry Henry. It made Arsenal one of the most efficient teams to grace the Premier League. I remember when Liverpool played Arsenal this year, we got beat 4-2, and I think Henry scored a hat-trick. He ran Carragher ragged. And he did this to a lot of players. He used to do it week in, week out in the Premier League. I think he scored a hat-trick that day. And he was the first player that I genuinely used to worry about when Liverpool played against Arsenal. I genuinely used to worry for Liverpool because Thierry Henry was just that good. So that's my Arsenal team in second place. So that finally brings me back to what is, in my opinion, the best ever Premier League team. And that is Chelsea in 2004-2005. So this was a Chelsea team led by Jose Mourinho. It's amazing to me seeing him as a manager now and how he is. He seems to be a very, very defensive manager now. But it amazes me that he put such an amazing team together. So he had Peter Cech in the goals, who, in my opinion, he is the best goalkeeper to play in the Premier League. I know a lot of people will say Peter Schmeichel, but I just think when I used to watch Peter Cech, there just seemed to be no way past him. He never made mistakes. He got to these shots that looked destined to be a goal, and he was just an unbelievable goalkeeper. And then, obviously, they had the spine of the team. So Peter Cech, playing in front of him, they had Ricardo Carvalho, John Terry. Then in front of them, there was Makelele, Lampard, with Drogba up the other end. That probably is one of the best spines to a football team that I've ever seen. And also within that team, the players I've just mentioned, they probably had 4 of the best ever players in their positions playing at the same time in the same football team. Frank Lampard, John Terry, Peter Cech, Didier Drogba, they are all legends of the game, and they all played together in the same team. No team could come up against them. Not only that, they also had players like Arjen Robben, Joe Cole in his prime, Paulo Ferreira. That's why they had everything in place to be the best Premier League squad ever to play in the Premier League. So Chelsea, I've just named the defence and the goalkeeper. In 2004-2005, they conceded 15 goals in 38 games. That's a record that hasn't been beaten. It will probably never be beaten. They got beat that season. They didn't go invincible. They got beat that season. I believe Man City beat them 1-0. But they were so hard to break down. And they finished the season with 29 wins. They beat an unbelievable Arsenal side. So you've got to remember, this is an Arsenal side that just 1 year earlier had gone unbeaten. And Chelsea went on to beat that team by 12 points in the league. They were head and shoulders above that team. And I think that's the reason, ultimately, that is the reason why I've gone for Chelsea above Arsenal in this one. So for me, Chelsea in 2004-2005 under Jose Mourinho are the best team to play in the Premier League. So we're coming to the end of the podcast now, guys. A recap: in 5th place, we have the Ronaldo-led United of 2007-2008. In 4th place is the current Liverpool team. 3rd place is taken by the Man City team of last season, 2018-2019. And in 2nd, we have the Invincibles of 2003-2004, which leaves Jose Mourinho and the boys from 2004-2005 to take top spot. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I'm going to enjoy some more football now, so stay safe everyone, and I will see you all on Thursday next week for episode 4.